This is it. I know we're coming off a break, so yeah, we'll get started now.
So it looks like we probably should get started. It's about 5 minutes past the hour. So,
all right, I'm Marco. It's my first UDS, so say hi to everyone. I'm a community moderator at Ubuntu. I just want to speak about different ways that, briefly about Ubuntu, different ways that we can help integrate it into the Ubuntu community, help improve support for new users, and help get experts to contribute to more content on the site. So I'm just going to show a couple things for easy ways to integrate Ubuntu, things that are relatively easy as far as technology-wise, RSS feeds, where to find them, and then go into more details about where the APIs are, how you access them, libraries for the API, and then hopefully drum up some action items that we could do this cycle to help push Ubuntu into different areas that may need support that aren't very easy to facilitate in the current infrastructure with forms and IRC. This is the Ask Ubuntu website. If you've all visited Ask Ubuntu or one of the other Stack Exchange family sites, Stack Overflow, Server Fault, Superuser, it's a pretty easy to grasp format. It's questions and answers with minimal focus on discussion and more quality focus on higher quality questions and answers. So for things like keeping track of questions with a certain tag, all questions are tagged with up to 5 tags. So a lot of times they'll tag with things like release, so it's a release-specific issue, for instance 11.10, and this person's having a problem changing resolution with wine app opened and the screen freezes. So this happens in 11.10 with NVIDIA drivers, and it's a resolution issue. If you're interested in following all 11.10 questions, which would be kind of dangerous because there are a lot of questions that come into the stream, if you hover over any of the tags, in this case 11.10, you'll notice it says subscribe and RSS. Subscribe is for email notifications on the tag. So if you log into the site, and real quickly to show you how easy it is to log into the site, just go to askubuntu.com. You press login, and then you can choose to log in with your Launchpad ID, or any one of these OpenID providers, or any one of these OpenID providers, or any OpenID provider you maintain. So logging in is just simply clicking on whichever OpenID provider you use, and it'll push you into the site and create an account for you if you don't already have one. So once you do that, you can subscribe via email or RSS. I know a lot of you probably use RSS feeders for Planet and other blogs. So clicking on RSS will take you to the RSS link for that tag. So if you're working with 11.10 or you work with certain software like Unity Design, or if you're quite proficient in MySQL knowledge on Ask Ubuntu, following the MySQL tag would probably be beneficial. Likewise, on the right, if you visit the site frequently to answer questions, there are things like favorite tags and ignored tags. So you can add a favorited tag. I do mostly web development, so I follow web development tags. And you can also ignore tags, which helps organize the stream of questions on the front page. So RSS feeds for tags is something that's very helpful for if you're working on a project or in an area and you wish to follow questions about that project and that tag. Likewise, if you're just interested in questions coming in, new questions, on the bottom of the homepage is a recent questions feed, which will again feed you all the questions that people are asking. It can be quite a lot of questions at one time. I know we peaked over the weekend with a new release with almost 300 new questions in a day, so that'll probably burn out your RSS feeders, but we do get on average 75 to 100 new questions a day, so that's quite a lot to digest. But if you want to do something where you're syndicating questions from the homepage for whatever reason, you can do that through RSS feeds. So I'm going to dive into some alternative options without going to RSS feeds. Most of the site has RSS feeds, and you'll find them at the very bottom. They have this little RSS feed icon next to it. Stack Exchange Ask Ubuntu also has an API. If you go to api.askubuntu.com, it'll explain a little bit about the API, what's going on, how to use it, and then it exposes all the methods you can use. The API is currently read access only, with write access coming in Q1 of next year. So for now, you can get pretty much anything you see on the site, questions, answers, privileges, users' accounts, public user data, everything and anything that you can read on the site currently can be pulled from the API, including questions, questions that are tagged with a certain taxonomy, users and watching users and questions feed, so you can find popular users who are prominent users in certain questions. If you wish to try to highlight people who are contributing to your software tag, you can do that by following those users who have prominent activity in those tags. And the site also has, like the Facebook API and many other APIs, a sandbox in the web you can use to play around with the different options that are available. So there's a console here, which you can go and you can pump in parameters and call the method, and it'll show you essentially what it returns, and it returns JSON object with various other details inside of it that are all displayed here and explained above in here. So for hooking things into it, a lot of you guys probably use Python for desktop development and such like that. The Stack Apps website, stackapps.com, is a website which collects applications and libraries that people have written on top of the Stack Exchange API, including Ask Ubuntu. So the library tag on Stack Apps has a large library of libraries, essentially, which are written in different languages for communicating with the API. Python, jQuery, PHP, Ruby, etc. So if you're looking to start integrating with either a web project, or if you want to start integrating with a desktop project for get help or see frequently asked questions and things of that nature, you can get those libraries through the stackapps.com website. And then as far as API limits go, if you don't have an API key, it's 300 a day. If you do, it's 10,000 a day. And if that's not enough, the Stack Exchange people are always welcome to raise that on a per need basis. Registering for a key is very straightforward. There's just a form you fill out and it gives you a key just to keep track of who's using the application. So that's pretty much all I want to dive into real quickly with the API and how it works. If you guys have any questions in particular with different integration points, I'd be happy to floor those. Yes?
I got one. How does this affect answers.launchpad.net? Specifically, should we consider replacing the Launchpad integration, the ask a question part in most Ubuntu apps with Ask Ubuntu, or is it nice to have specifically?
We brought this up last time because at the time answers like nobody likes it. Unfortunately now there's a bug filed open for this. It's just a resourcing issue with the Launchpad team of being able to have a project on Launchpad, like how you can do external bug trackers and stuff like that, of having a Q&A, like you should say this, this project that uses this for questions and answers, not Launchpad, and people will be able to enable that. As far as having the official answer shut off for Ubuntu and have those imported, because we can do that into Ask. The problem is that Ask is specifically English only, and then getting multi-language support is a problem. So that makes it kind of a deal breaker as far as whether we can move away from Ask. So what I tell people is
English only too.
No, it's not.
Sense.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
It supports multiple languages. When you sign up, you can declare, I want to ask a question in this language, and you'll get people who understand your language, and people can read that question.
Yeah. So what I tell people is, Answers is great because it's multilingual and all that stuff, but if you speak English, I don't see a reason to use Answers.
Okay. Another solution maybe is to have to extend the LPI plugin to where for English users it gets forwarded there.
True.
To everybody else.
Yeah, I've followed this all in Launchpad, and the Launchpad team is like, that sounds great, but it's just a resourcing issue at this point. But yeah, we thought about that last time because that was like the first thing on my mind. Because I can't remember the last time I Googled for a problem and something from answers.launchpad.net was like at the top, right? I get the bug reports just fine, but I don't know. Answers isn't really like working for me. Okay. Oh, now he's leaving. That's all I wanted to know.
That was my question.
Okay, cool.
We could perhaps, how do people get referred to Answers Launchpad.net? Is there like a drop-down menu in like most applications to do that, or what is the way people get referred to that generally?
Well, sometimes
I think it has
happens.
a menu.
And sometimes if you report a bug and it's a question, you're getting converted back over to Ask.
Sure. Okay.
And that's another thing about Ask Ubuntu in general, is that we've really narrowed the scope of the site so that anything that's a bug report, anything that's discussion related, we don't tolerate on the site because it's not built for discussions. It's not built for bug reports. We make sure that they find the proper areas in the community to take care of that, whether it be Launchpad, whether it be the forums or an IRC or something of that nature. So really, the site boils down to questions and answers. answer questions that are answerable in general. So not vague questions like,
How do you feel about Vim versus Emacs? And
right,
stuff?
things that will
Go to
spark
the-
discussions and such.
Yeah.
I put a question up there on the pad when we're talking about integrate, and I know we've got the local directory, et cetera, and I don't think it belongs in local directory, but if there was some way, because you use the Launchpad login sometimes, and that has the ability to give information on what team a person might be a member of. Because as a loco lead, if I know a bunch of people are asking a question about a certain topic, then that might be a good source of information for me to go ahead and have a presentation on that in an area, or use that to lead an IRC session across the whole state on answering some questions in that. So it would help me make the loco team better driven to answer the questions that are coming from my area.
I know currently that information isn't pulled from Launchpad, but I could speak with Stack Exchange to see if that's something that we could make available in the profile, what teams members are a part of,
Yeah.
or at least make their Launchpad URL available, that we'd be able to then search Launchpad to see what teams they're a part of, and set up something like that where we could alert locos when there's a user who's having a problem in their area, or even
Right.
give them the ability to see questions that are asked by people in their area
Right.
to help them narrow down and focus them on helping them in real life rather than on the site as well. So that's something I can add to check with the Stack Exchange team there.
And OpenID definitely exposes that information. Like if you've ever seen, like when you
Sure.
logged into pad.ubuntu.com, it tells you we're sharing your groups with this other entity. So
And I'm going to add another one for you too.
So you talked about discouraging people from discussion on Ask. Do you also discourage people from asking questions on the second PHP And like, it's very hard to find answers when people ask questions on there. Like, you search for it and that's the first thing that comes up.
you mean Ubuntu forums?
Right, right.
Okay.
Wait, which one?
Ubuntu forums.
No,
Yeah,
we don't actively discourage the Ubuntu forums, people from asking questions on the Ubuntu forums. It is completely legitimate for them to ask a question on there. While I don't believe it's the best outlet for them to do so, the Ubuntu forums seem to have a bit of hostility with our existence in the community as far as their fear for their viability.
Okay, so there's kind of a conflict between the two. That's
Sure.
what I was kind of
I
wondering.
don't think so because like, you know, users are going to want to have, you know, the love-hate unity thread that's 55 pages. That's great.
Yeah.
You're right, but that's not like what this site is.
Right, and that's okay,
Yeah.
but it's when I go to search for, and Google pops up the first answer in the...
And it's some old, out-of-date garbage that you can't fix. That's
Or-
exactly what I'm trying to fix with this.
Right, or it's, you know, it's really a nice question, but there's 10 pages on it, and you have to scroll 10 at a time,
Yeah.
and you can never find...
It's like on
it.
mailing lists of the same problem, right? It's like huge thread.
Right. Like, you know, migrating good, like if there is a good question and answer on the Ubuntu forum, somehow migrating it over to
Now,
Ask.
the great thing is that both the forums and AU are licensed CC, so we can easily cross-pollinate. Like if you see some good content on Ubuntu forums and it took you like to page 3 to find it,
Right.
you can absolutely post your question on AU and post the answer right away.
Okay.
Self-document, that's what I do all the time, because it was like, man, I can't find anything. So then I ask it and then I post.
So it's not like Stack Exchange where I can't answer my own question for 2 days or something like that.
Well, it depends on how much reputation you have, so.
Well, you can answer, you just can't accept it right away. It gives other people to try to solve your problem for you.
Okay, right, all right.
But yeah, but if, after you do that a few times, you get some upvotes, because every time I see someone self-document them, you know, you get 15 rep from me.
Yeah.
So after you start self-documenting, it's just only a matter of time.
Okay.
I have enough rep where I don't have a delay or anything. I just plan on them.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
Yeah, and then this is a different session, but I've raised the quality issue with the Forums Council as far as deleting all the old garbage, and they feel, and a lot of users feel, that all the good knowledge out there for things like Breezy is not worth getting rid of on the internet, and it's the user's fault if they follow an old out-of-date page.
We're not just robot based next to it.
Yeah, I'm investigating things like that. Or
Ultimately, if you wanted, you could find it by the Ubuntu forum site, but maybe
Right.
just get it off the front page and do it.
right. So in the past, we also had the problem where we would have really, like, I wrote the how to configure Unity page, right? Because I was like self-documenting it and everything. and it was getting no results in Google. Like it would get all the hits from all the sites, it would copy the content, and then like forget and not update it. So the blog spam problem, ittechtips.com or whatever, grabbing all the content. But since the launch of 11.10, we've had a huge surge of traffic because we were mentioned in the installer. So I randomly open private mode in Chrome and type in search things and see how we're doing. And significantly this cycle, our results are getting on the front page now, at least on the first or second one.
So there's no possibility, like if you go to Ubuntu forums,
Right.
there couldn't be a link at the top saying, hey, do you just have a question? If you have a question, go to ask.
This would be very controversial, but I think that for asking and doing user support, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
And I think that hanging out and talking about Unity or, hey, what's your favorite animal name?
Right.
All the good stuff that we want to do should be on the forums, but I don't think you're going to convince.
Okay.
Some people just prefer forums. I mean, they don't get it.
But there's still that problem with the forums, and there is one area of the forums which I think tried to solve the problem that Ask is doing, but it's that problem of, okay, there was an answer that was 30 posts in, and that's the answer that helps me, but now it went on for 62 pages, so when I hit last thinking that was the answer, now I have to backtrack.
Right. Or you're like, oh, do all this stuff, and on page 56, don't do that, it totally broke my computer, and it's like too late.
Yeah, and they've got a tutorial section on the forums where people have actually gone and made sure that the tutorial is good and it's valid and it works,
Yeah.
and that's an approval process.
Right.
But otherwise, to me, Ask Ubuntu is perfect, because again,
Yeah.
someone can give a bad answer, it's going to stay at the bottom.
Yeah. So I
You
know
can give a
there's
good answer, it's going to rise to the top.
I don't want to slag on the forums all session, but I know there's a quality problem there, and I tried to fix it, and it's easier for me to help improve this stuff because I can,
I like the positive approach.
yeah, I mean, if I make a mistake, I know someone will fix it, right, as opposed to, it's like, you fix all my answers, man.
I've kind of been wondering and trying to struggle with figuring this out for a while now, because the goal is not to have an extended discussion,
Right,
but certain questions are very prone to that.
right,
Hey, my computer won't boot, help.
yeah,
That's going to start an extended discussion.
yeah,
And on the site, there are ways to facilitate that. And Ask Ubuntu, they have these different forms of communication. What they call second-class citizens are comments. So you can actually leave comments and have a meta discussion about the question, or give a meta discussion about that answer. And the idea, and what we really try to enforce for the users, is if you find something new about your question, if someone asks you, well, give me LCPCI correct for network, we try to reinforce it, put that back in the question body. Always add your question to improve it, and then we can remove the comments later, because the comments should really be obsolete after you lock down your discussion. And we also have a web-based chat system that after a question grows more than 20 comments, the system says, hey, you guys are really into this discussion. Here's a real-time web-based chat to go take your discussion to, and then you can come back and enter your question for everyone to see in the end results.
And you brought up a good example. The boot tag is probably, can you bring up the boot tag? Probably like the most embarrassing part of the site. And it's just a difficult problem to solve. The user's computer does not work. And you don't want to say, go to Launchpad, right?
And it's like, my initial reaction is someone say, go to the Ubuntu forums for this.
Yeah.
Because it's not a clear, here's an answer to your question.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure when it comes to boot questions, or it boots up to a purple screen, that whether it's forums, mailing lists, IRC, that's just always going to be hard. I mean, I put some thought into, it ends up being like this.
Yeah.
The problem with forums, and I deal with a lot of purple screens. The problem with forums is the reason for purple screens changes every release. And people find that stuff, and by the time they actually get around to finding a bug, they followed a whole bunch of stuff that's not relevant.
Yeah, by then it's like too late,
Crash
dude.
their systems.
It's like you were doing good, and then someone told you to remove grub, and crap. Yeah.
The bad thing about that is they never die.
Yeah.
So that's something that with Ask Ubuntu we can help to facilitate. I know we have a couple questions where a topic spans multiple releases with different options in it. One is installing BPAs. BPAs have changed between different versions of Ubuntu. So
Even I know better, and even I find stuff and get halfway through typing it in, and then at the bottom it goes, if you run it natty or later, and I go, crap, it's too late.
I've been going to some answers and putting a header for the version for each one, because it's kind of like a corner problem that's really annoying when you run into it.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be helpful to talk to the Ubuntu Forums people and see if we can get editing privileges for posts given out more often. If
If you want to go down that hole,
not going to happen. Because
oh no, feel free to go rock it.
I can get my first action item, I guess, sure.
But
So
we should probably have a separate.
people here. We're not possibly able to inform people here.
I know some Ubuntu Forums people. I know some-
You should have a separate session on.
I'll talk with them about it.
Have we got anyone here for conference?
Oh yeah, Mackenzie Morgan.
Right, one person.
You should have a separate session on that, because I don't want the search session to turn into why the forums are broken, because I think we can concentrate. But you should definitely have a separate session. You know, I'll be in there. It's frustrating. I know.
Okay.
So I want to talk, I guess I'll bring it back circle then. I want to get ideas from people where different areas where, you know, questions and answers in the Ubuntu community aren't as prevalent. A couple examples that I've heard had this sort of meta integration. The Unity homepage has a question, at the very bottom says, if you have a question about Unity, click here. I'll show you. Oh no, that's the wrong site.
Unit. Project.
It's a project.
Yep. And then go to application indicators or something. Find out more.
So at the bottom here, there's nothing crazy. There's no major API integrations. It's just very quickly you say, check out our frequently asked questions. And this opens up the indicator tag, and it goes to the FAQ tab. And inside the FAQ tab, basically sorts all the questions based on page views. For instance, list of application indicators is by far our most popular thread about indicators. And on the right side, you'll see it has what its tagged is, when it was asked, and how many times it was viewed since it was asked. And this has been viewed 75,000 times. So it really comes to say that this is one of the more frequently viewed questions. That's why it's in the frequently asked question list. Likewise, it has a ask your own question. It says ask your own.
Actually, if you could go back
Yes.
to the page.
This one here?
Yes, we have one question and 50 answers.
Yes.
Isn't that a bit excessive?
It is, and this isn't the best example of a question. This was something that we're starting to phase out. It's a software recommendation question. So we've turned it into more of a vote for your favorite kind of indicator. So each answer is its own indicator. One is stack applet, the other being the system load indicator.
Problem is users love these kind of.
This is a good one. I've gone to this one.
Yeah, like
It's a poll essentially.
yeah, because we're always like ask a question that has a technical answer, and you know, but
So can we stick poll beside like that?
Well, it's denoted to be a poll by the fact that it is a community wiki. Community wiki was originally this idea that it's a question that has a lot of information needs to be changed or it's changing rapidly. Making it a community wiki makes users with low reputation able to edit it. Since then, Stack Exchange platform's upgraded so anyone can edit content. It just needs to be approved if you're under a certain reputation level. So Community Wiki's been devolved into this community poll, and even still, it's kind of it's not a very cohesive question for what we're trying to do. But just like users like to rant and discuss about differences and such, they love to have this list of things that they can install. We have a few of these questions, but we're really working on narrowing the scope of these kind of questions because 50 answers is ridiculous. I mean, you can go on forever to list indicators. People are making indicators all the time.
But then again, people love this question. It's very popular.
So for this, it works out pretty well because there really is no place, one single place on the internet that has a list of all the indicators available. For this kind of application, it is okay, but then we have people coming in and asking like, oh, well, what games are available for Linux? And that's kind of the question that really is, it's infinitely long in answers. So we try to cut those out. This one has a bit of a place in the community because of the lack of
look at the
information
views.
in this.
75. That's one of the biggest ones on the site, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So NManker is put on the IRC linking to the Twitter feed.
Yes.
It's called Stack Ubuntu. We need that to ask Ubuntu. That doesn't seem logical to me. I can appreciate where it came from, but
I think someone's holding on to that.
I think so too.
Do we have a trademark?
Someone grabbed this a while ago. This is when we
I
first were
think
deciding.
Robert had it. to be
This one?
honest. I think it's-
Probably it does have it. That would make sense.
That's a good work item.
I will
Ask
check,
about that.
I will check out about that one. The Stack platform recently went and they made accounts for all the Stack sites, Stack Ubuntu, Stack Gaming, Stack Overflow.
We should ask if we can make that an alias or something. Or...
Yeah, I will get in touch with the community team.
Ooh,
see if we
work
can do
item.
something like that.
And have
But-
every new question put on the Twitter feed?
No, they only do, that would be a lot of questions. They do questions that receive a bounty. There's a bounty system, if you're not familiar, where you can, if you're very invested in a question, you want to find an answer, and you want to make it more worthwhile, you can put up some of your reputation. So you can say, I'm going to give 500 of my reputation points to whomever can answer this. And so those kind of questions get tweeted. Questions that are very popular, that are getting a lot of page views, that are just asking a lot of page views, or getting a lot of answers, will be tweeted. And it has some magical algorithm that Stack Exchange has decided for the best to promote questions. So it tweets about every 2 to 3 hours, and it has a question in there. So we obviously get more than 2 to 3 questions an hour. So it picks out the best of that kind of batch and puts it up there.
Another integration point, can you go back to the Unity page? When you click on Ask Your Own, and you do this here, you can link from whatever page you're going that will auto tag it.
And you can put multiple tags as well.
Right. So you can say, ask me, this is what I was talking about for the developer stuff. Ask me about, indicators, and then it automatically organizes people in the right place, that's a handy thing if you want to throw that on your wiki page or your team
So
wiki
I do
page.
this with Launchpad bugs as well. I send people a link with field dot.
Yeah, I got one of those from you. Yeah.
This, and this is the main bug report allow you to report if you can be asked.
Yeah.
So the same kind of idea exists here with the asking question interface for Ask Ubuntu. So you don't have to tell people, go to the Ask Question option and then type in these tags and such. So you can just directly link them so they can start getting their problems solved quickly.
If teams want to start putting a link like that on their pages, that will be actually tremendously useful. And then keep typing, so I want...
So
the
as
dupe
you,
detection is really good.
as you type, it tries to find questions that are similar to the ones you've asked. So I'm asking what indicators are available, and I don't see anything in this list that quite suits what I'm looking for. So as you keep typing in the body,
This is magical when it does this. This is like my favorite feature. I think you have to keep typing a lot though.
What are you trying to do?
This, watch over here with that. Put some technical stuff in there as well.
come on, site, do it.
Do a page break. Don't just spam it. Then you'll trigger the other
I'm
thing.
trying so hard.
How do I customize the
I've
work?
that a few times. Select all.
Did you put that tag there? Did you put that tag there?
Oh yeah, put a Unity tag on it. An 11 tag. Just type in there, how do I customize the launcher?
We're going to really screw up this dupe detection.
Okay, well he can't type, but normally when users start filling in their questions, automatically this starts to populate with related questions.
On the right side here, which you can't see, but it's
Yeah, it's
usually
supposed to be here.
there. It'll start listing up questions using both the title and the body of questions that are related to the subject. Of course, since I'm giving the demonstration, it's not going to do it, but typically it's there. You just take my word for it in that respect.
I thought that was just using tag.
It does.
This is like body and it's just like this crazy body analysis thing. Insane, dude. It's awesome.
They really spend some time making sure the user gets the information as quick as possible. And then, of course, if they do happen to ignore everything that we try to tell them and post the question, the community and the moderators will go through and they'll close the questions and then it'll close it as a duplicate and we'll make sure that the user finds where to get the answer. And then that also helps when people are searching to have different terms of which the question's phrased. So, what indicators are available and a list of all the application indicators. When people are searching for that in Google, they'll find that this is a duplicate. And then when they come from a search engine into that duplicate question, it'll get 301 directed to the proper question. So they won't even see the duplicate question to begin with.
I don't know about the redirect.
Yeah, this they added in a couple months ago.
Another integration point, can you open a new tab and go to manpages.ubuntu.com? Luke, pay attention here because I'm going to try to give you a work item.
Oh God.
Okay, So
I
just go to
think
any
that's
command,
fine.
search for DD or something. So one thing, I've talked to Dustin Kirkland, who maintains the man pages, is it would be great if somewhere here, it would have, frequently asked questions, and then ask a question about
This
DD, and then it seeds the tag and sends it to that person.
Ooh. What is my pages written in? What is this written in? Is
I
this-
don't know, but the code is in Launchpad, and I have it all written in the notes. Do you want to investigate that?
Sure.
So Kirkland is like, that's totally awesome. I might not have time to do it, but he's willing to review a branch and like get you started and stuff.
Sure, and this isn't necessarily this cycle thing. This has to be done at some point. Okay.
No, yeah, just opportunistic
Right. Okay, I can do that.
integration. It's like, I don't need. Do we have a frequency asked questions for DD?
Yeah, we have a lot of DD questions. I don't know if they're tagged DD, but they have DD enhancer.
Oh, we have done.
Yeah.
Aha, good. So any other integration points? Anyone have any ideas?
So
or?
there's one, if you go to ubuntu.com.
Yeah.
So when I first started using Ubuntu, this is how I got hooked in with the support channel. So go to community or support, and then click on support icon. Either one of the two support links.
This is a bug it's found, it's getting fixed. This whole page is getting redone.
Okay.
That's why they didn't
So
like
like this
fixing it.
points just to the forum.
Yeah, if you go to developer.ubuntu.com. And go to like community, yeah. Scroll down. All the new sites get this thing going on,
Oh, okay.
right? So when they get to us, they'll do that.
Okay.
But I have an open bug and all that stuff. That's just one of those things that
Yeah, I like that better. Just get on Ask.
show at datastackexchange.com.
Oh, yes.
I want this to be, this is something that like few power people will be able to check it out. Especially Steve, I want you to check this out because I think this might be useful for you.
All right, sorry, you got my attention.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. So you go to data.stackexchange.com and you can write any SQL query you want that will search the entire data dump. So,
Let me just pull the query over here.
yeah,
I try to author queries that will help me find crap questions on the site.
Oh, and it saves them for you too, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And you can share them with people as well, and they can see the results. So, the top 1,000 viewed questions, just as a basic SQL query, this runs right on top of their. I think they were using Azuri because it's a Windows stack, unfortunately, but they were using Azuri. But they make this interface available for us to run queries against, so we can just pull data. They may not have the right methods available in the API just yet, but we want the data anyways. So, and they have a bunch of information about what is available, what fields you can pull from.
So I think something that might be helpful for your team, Steve,
Yep.
is known problems that people are always posting. You could just have a saved query that says, dangerous commands,
Yeah.
and then that way you're not just sitting there browsing all the kernel
It's
tags.
also useful for like the Ubuntu HAMS community stuff. If we get all this stuff up there on Stack Exchange properly tagged, we can just put a query page up there that will be live and link to it as sort of generic help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Starting points.
Absolutely.
So that's-
Yeah. So I think the site is still too young to get all that data mined out of it, but I see in the future, if there's a bug report with a certain hardware or something like that, just coming over here, running a query and finding, all the user.
And then the data, of course, you can download the results as a CSV file. So you don't have to always have the data in here. You can just put it into Libre Calc.
Well, that's nice too.
This is awesome. Can we get a data.launchpad.net?
It's gonna make me,
Yeah. Talk to Martin Poole. As soon as he saw this, he's like, we need this.
This is gonna make me think a little harder about tagging.
Yeah, I mean, there is a limit of 5 tags, but that's imposed because there's this idea of meta tagging. Tags that don't really have anything to do with the question, just there because they're there. Like you're having a problem with internet, so you tag Firefox, but it's not really a browser problem. Just because you're using Firefox as the browser, you have a networking issue.
Yeah.
So that's why they limit the tags, and they try to make sure that you really put the 5, at most the 5 most important tags about that question that can help users figure out what they're doing.
You can find those unique tags, don't you, that it's going to get to that result from that.
Right, so if someone tags a question in 11.10, but it's an issue that exists in all of the pages of Ubuntu, there really is no reason to have 11.10
You
tagged.
can't tag answers though, right?
You cannot tag answers, correct.
Because it
So,
would be kind of nice to be able to tag an answer with a power user tag or something that kind of warns people that.
Yeah,
That's potential.
power user tag would be kind of
That one was
problematic.
fascinating.
Command line.
How about just a call?
Yeah, we have a command line tag though.
Francis.
Okay.
What?
but the command line tag is more for issues or issues and problems using the command line. We had this discussion earlier. How do we differentiate questions when a user asks a question and they want a command line answer? They don't want the GUI method for it. So how do we really handle that kind of diversion? We decided that it shouldn't matter. I mean, this one person is one out of the next 10,000 to come view that question. Just because he may want a command line answer doesn't mean there isn't any other reason to give as well. Also give a GUI answer.
Put both answers in there, that's just sense.
Putting both methods in your answer just makes it of a higher quality nature, and that's what we're looking for. High quality overall.
Right. And I spent some time just always going in and cross-linking people to like existing documentation. So like, you know, if I see someone posted an answer that's a GUI answer, I might take a screenshot and just add it on. So it's more like Wikipedia in that aspect of the
But
form.
still within Stack Exchange, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've already encountered one situation where somebody linked to a wiki, and then the wiki became wrong, right? So the answer was still ranked well
Right.
on Stack Exchange, but the wiki was screwed, so
What'd you do at that point? Did you fix the wiki?
I fixed the wiki.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
the fastest way to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think what they recommend on Stack Exchange is you cut and paste the relevant part of that wiki into the actual answer.
Right.
And then
Yeah, I
also
would
keep the
never-
link there. Keep the link
Right.
as well.
I never link to the wiki in my answers. If there's a good answer somewhere else, I duplicate it.
Right. See, I try. So one of the problems I've had with the Ubuntu Wiki, I mean, it is getting better, is Google heavily penalizes slow sites. So the Google Wiki,
Ubuntu Wiki.
yeah, the Ubuntu Wiki, sorry, like never comes up unless I
Is that
remember
why
it.
it never shows up?
Right, exactly.
Is it really slow?
Oh yeah.
Shouldn't we just throw more
Is that
money
why
at that then?
forums always shows
Dude,
up?
no, we've reached like ext4 limits on that thing. It's crazy. But anyway, so one of the reasons I always add references to the wiki is if the high Googleability of an answer, you know, points someone to the official documentation also. It's kind of an on-ramp to the official documentation, right? So all the Upstart questions, like Mark Russell went in and added a link to, here's a relevant section of the Upstart cookbook.
Right, now,
You know?
there are places that I have pointed to the wiki, and there are pages that I know that the kernel team actively maintains. They're part of our process documentation.
Right.
So, that it's always going to be the definitive action.
Yeah,
And I know that most of the kernel team is not actually going to even think about maintaining something on Stack Exchange.
oh, absolutely.
Every release.
Absolutely. But that's an easy fix because on the kernel tag, you know, I can just say, here's a set of the active kernel maintained pages on the wiki, and then people like me who have no lives will just go and say, oh, okay, that's on this page on the official, and they'll go and they'll fix up all the answers. Ideally, if it's an on-ramp and the user ends up on your official documentation, then as far as I'm concerned, that's a total win. Anything that makes that easier, absolutely. Yeah. So I should, you know, that's something you just tell me, hey, next time you get a chance, go through the kernel tag and start adding some more links. I'm always fishing for it, so.
So I'm curious. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But one of the other things you mentioned with the wikis that maybe aren't officially maintained and they go wrong, could we go ahead and like you said, just paste the answer, but then also put in, you know, this was taken from this
Oh,
wiki.
absolutely.
Go here and see more
You
information.
should absolutely always refer, actually, if someone copies and pastes an answer without reference, it's actually likely to get you a downvote for someone like me, because it's like, we're all about refer to bug reports, refer to official documentation. You know, it's not, you know, just randomly put, except in the rare cases, so like when Colin Watson posts something, I don't ask for references. But, you know, generally speaking, we want to get the culture around citing references and official documentation, right? So I don't envision us having the Ubuntu packaging guide here, because that would be ridiculous, right? But we would have the packaging guide, but people's user questions around how to do this specific part of the packaging guide, there should be like an overlap. So yeah, I heavily upvote people who refer official sources. If someone I usually see someone referring to, oh, there's an easy fix, and then they just paste a link to some blog post that we can't fix. Me personally, I always downvote that and I'll leave a comment saying, you know, I know you're trying to help the guy out, but the content needs to be here so it can be peer reviewed. And that's actually working pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, people get it. When you leave comments and start downvoting, people notice when they start losing reputation.
Yeah.
They become very upset. Why did I lose?
even
these points?
if it's only 2, right?
But if you downvote and leave a comment as well saying, this is why I downvoted you, this is what would make me change my mind, and if they edit their post, you can always come back and upvote it again. You can
Right.
always reverse your vote. It's not a permanent vote. If they edit the content, come back and you can upvote it as well. So in that respect, we try to keep emailing users to a limit. If we see someone's posting a lot of low quality, like, oh, just go to google.com and search for this. We try to let them know in comments, and usually people go and just downvote that trash because it's not a very good
Right.
answer. But we try to say, hey, don't say google.com. Anyone go to google.com. Help,
Yeah.
give the person some help.
So we tell the people, like, when we first started, people asking questions, we're like, that could be solved with an easy Google. And then I grabbed that question, I put it in Google and got nothing but horrible results.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people, we don't do, let me Google that for you, because we want to be the end place of where that Google search ends up. And
Just makes you look superior to the other places. So, oh yeah.
It's that 1990s Linux guy mentality, the RTFM. Go find a man page somewhere.
yeah. But it's frustrating for advanced users too. I think man pages suck. They didn't suck so bad, I'd use them. Sorry, that was... Sorry.
No, it's okay. I like man pages. I like running man on my command line. But
Yeah, don't hold back. How do you feel about man pages? So, any other integration ideas? I think we have, 15 minutes left or something?
Yeah, so any other places in the site, within the community, within project pages, we're on Ubuntu 1.ubuntu.com. It says for community support, you can go here, and then for support regarding your content, regarding your account, you can go here. Can you guys imagine?
Are you an IRC council guy?
No,
But you're an IRC guy. You know how to
Yes.
do stuff like
I know how to do stuff.
echoing the tweets in the IRC channels so people can
I
go
can
answer your question?
Talk to people about that, sure.
Sweet.
So
I'm
many
just here to get
action-
work items, baby.
So many action items. Everywhere.
This is what happens when you sit in the middle. So, is there? I've kind of scoured through the Ubuntu community sites to find pages myself that I'd go ping project leaders on and see, hey, what about doing something like adding a link to our Ask Ubuntu tag here? Is there any places, anywhere else you guys can imagine that, something like this would help? Some place in the community that need help with users getting answers to their questions.
Oh my God.
I think, the Launchpad one that we talked about, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know what your answer to that was, I don't remember, but it's like.
It's just a time resource issue. Because there's a lot of times where I'd love to also have a
That's
button
huge.
that transforms a question and sends the person to Launchpad like we do with answers, but we don't have a way to do that. And also a way for Launchpad, for Bryce to say, this isn't a bug report, this is just you screwing up your Zork config and punting that back to the past.
Well, there's also kind of we get a lot of bug reports post-release that we're probably not going to do SR use on.
Right,
And that person obviously wants help,
right,
but we're not going to help.
yeah. So Launchpad, in his case, he added a banner in Launchpad that says, our team is screwing you this cycle, but see if you can get workarounds on Ask Ubuntu from someone else.
Okay.
So, but I think that's working pretty well. Yeah, it seems to me. Are you getting less bug reports?
It's
No.
kind of hard to sell.
But there is another point. Usually Ask Ubuntu will have the casual user, the not so technical user asking the questions. I really wouldn't like them to go and open a bug on Launchpad.
Right.
If there is one needed, I would rather have one of the senior folks doing it. And
So you think it's a
open it.
good idea that we can't easily move?
Yes, but not
Well,
the user.
I think moving is okay. If someone asks you to go to, or, Stack Exchange or whatever, it says, this is a legitimate bug, you should go to Launchpad.
Right.
Someone has reviewed it and said, yes, this is.
Yes, but ideally, wouldn't the end user.
I've got a canned response.
What I'm worried about
Go
is
follow
the
back.
casual user.
Go follow
They
back.
will go and open the bug.
Right.
We can do that. Okay?
And-
Well, I find with people, when people have bugs, typically there's already a confirmed bug out there for their issue, and it's just a matter of pointing them to the bug and telling them how to subscribe and follow for workarounds and follow-ups.
Right, it's like from comment number 56, solution, at the bug report, and then we close the question as you have your little canned.
But,
Yeah,
but
let me
in the
back up
rare,
about
in the
the
rare
reason.
case that someone has a bug that hasn't been reported, I mean, there's two things that go on with bugs that I can see potentially coming from here. There may be an existing bug, but there's only one person and the bug hasn't been confirmed. If there's a second person here, it would be nice to be able to use that information to confirm, so.
Well,
like,
there's a bit of a misset expectations, I think, because obviously you fix bugs, but there's way more bugs reported against the released Ubuntu
Right.
that are going to ever get attention. And I think that among users, they expect that if they install the release and they find a bug and they report it, it's going to get a fix. That's not necessarily true.
Right.
And I think they get upset because of that. It seems like if we could, rather than encourage every issue to be reported, to say, when we have a problem, we want to get you help, this is the place to go for getting help, so you can solve the problem. If it turns out that a lot of people have a problem,
Right.
then, let's get a bug escalated on that.
I'm putting in a disclaimer.
Sessions at 10 or 11:50.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how we would go about
How to phrase it, yeah. But yeah, I like that.
But going back the other way, I was in a session yesterday about Harvest, and I would love to have Harvest pull from this, like questions that don't have any answers yet.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then maybe it would get more attention by the bug triagers who have
Right.
experience to say, this is a
I would
bug.
say unanswered questions over 3 votes. That way you know it's not garbage, right?
And that way, more trained people can come in that are experienced with the bug triage. They can come here and say, okay, this really is a bug. It's not something that we can just tell you to do this configuration change, it's going to work.
Right.
I'll take the effort to move it over and make the bug report good, because
Right.
you want less crap bug reports and more good ones. I mean, yes, we may never fix them all, but if you don't have to sort through a bunch of stuff that really is ill-reported.
That I'll have more
least-
time to actually
Right.
fix.
I mean, I'm a K-12 systems administrator. I love getting people telling me they can't print. The problem is they couldn't log on to their computer, but because they couldn't log on, they couldn't print, and all they care about is printing, so they report I can't print. And you think you got a printer that's not online, not a user who can't log in.
The problem is when you do the bug report over to somebody else, it's you having to part that bug. And actually this loses a lot of weight, so I always try, and this is why I send pre-planned, please click here and file this again under this title, but I want them to file it, because I want
Right.
it to be their bug, they get the notifications, they get the credit, they get the review on it.
Actually, this
have we got a better way to move bug reports over when we can do it on behalf of somebody else?
It sort of, yes. The answer is a sort of yes. If we add on the bug description, the link as to the question.
Right, I do that. I mean, I put forward on behalf of the box at link, blah, 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 blah.
That's good enough.
But the metadata from Launchpad is that I filed that bug, it's my.
You can
Right.
25,880
Um,
It's not for somebody else's.
Yes, because you cannot,
Yeah.
what we cannot do is say, you open the bug, but it's, let's replace the name with Bryce. We cannot do that. You open it.
But we can still subscribe someone, at least for the notifications, if they've got a Launchpad account.
But I try
Yeah.
not to because it completely screws everything
I
up.
had the same problem before it bugs to
So-
upstream.
Is this something we should do? We should have some meta way of being able to.
Next review, we cannot,
We can't yet, no.
yeah.
Is it something we should do?
It'd be nice if there's
Yeah,
probably lots of
it's-
security issues. I don't know if that would be something. Launchpad-
They may not even have a Launchpad ID.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What I don't want.
Because you can
is-
ask and answer questions anonymously, so.
Well,
Yes.
if we're logging the SSO to ask Ubuntu, I think we can.
But it's not the only method, and likewise, like George just said, you don't have to even log in to ask a question. You could just, at the very bottom, if you're not logged in, it says enter your name and your email address, and we'll keep track of you as an anonymous user. So you run into that problem there where, maybe I could do a quick search in the database to find out how many people have a Launchpad.net email address, but you're looking at probably no more than 50% of the people are using their Ubuntu SSO. I don't even use mine. I use the Google login. That's why I use for login for everything. I'm a terrible site user, so.
One thing I want to, since we're talking about integration, I'm going to talk about this at the experts thing tomorrow, is the way I think we can start floating the top content, if you don't have time to edit, is encourage everyone here to vote at least a few times a day. And also to use the site when you're in a professional capacity in a public venue that you feel will be useful to users. So here's an example. This published USB vulnerability, and someone asked on our internal mailing list, hey, are we susceptible to this? And Case gave this like really, really awesome answer, right? He was like, I talked to the developer guy and all this kind of stuff. So I told him, you know what, that's really actually useful for everybody, not just internally. So all he did was copy and paste what he did. And this is like kind of one of those set questions where I was like, dude, this is good content, let's get out there. So just bland. So one of the things I like to encourage you, when you say participate in Ask Ubuntu, it doesn't necessarily mean trudge through a bunch of unanswered questions, because George said it was a good idea. But if you feel that you're going to ask someone a question in IRC or something or an email, and you feel that's going to be useful to the greater community, just post it here and then send that person the link so that when that person answers it, it's like useful for everybody. And then that gets you reputation so that when someone's wrong, you can downvote them. I'm all about that.
And of course, if you, there are some negative implications when you actually download someone. They lose reputation, and you lose a little as well. It's a little bit of sacrifice on your part. But it's only if you downvote answers. So if someone gives a really crappy answer, do downvote that, because if it gets enough downvote, it'll automatically delete itself. So not even crap answers can stay around for long. But if you don't like a way questions, if it's a poor question or you don't agree with the question or any reason you want to downvote a question, if you downvote it, you won't actually lose reputation. So that's really to help sort out what questions are really of higher caliber, because Stack Exchange uses questions upvotes and downvotes, their overall score, for helping with sort content for users. So if there's a high quality question or a question that has a great relevance to you or to the greater community, upvoting it. And then if it's a very localized question and something that wouldn't be of great assistance to the greater good, or it's a very low quality question in general, downvoting it, and that really helps sorts out the question queue for people as well. So that's how you can do your part without losing too much reputation.
Yeah. So just if you run into something and you think it's good, just upvote it. I mean, just the percolating effect by everyone voting, even if it's 2-3 times a day. You only get 30 votes a day, because if it was unlimited, votes would be worthless. So just usually when I see an Ubuntu developer and I know that's their area of expertise, or somebody, like when you answer a local questionnaire, it's just like an automatic upload.
And the other thing too, speaking about how to fix things up, what I've started doing recently is editing the questions, and obviously it's still going to the approval queue, but if someone worded a question poorly, but there's still a valid question there, and you clean it up, it makes it more valid for the people following after.
Yes, I definitely need help with that. During the release, I was like, I'm going to die. So I think I did.
That's something that's very simple to do, and it gives you reputation if you're a low reputation
Yeah, you
user.
get +2 for each one.
Sitting there and just editing a question, even fixing a title, if they write, Firefox, it's their title. And
Right. It's
really
always Ubuntu problem Firefox 11.10.
Well, the one I just
If you
fixed
change that to
over
how
here-
do I bookmark my thing in Firefox,
Right.
then that makes it.
It's like the one I just fixed here where it said Intel graphics not recognized, and I went Intel graphics not recognized in system info.
Perfect.
So, that really helps out the people who are actually scouring the list and trying to answer the questions. Really helps them to know that, well, I can answer this question. This is something that's more relevant to my expertise.
Yeah.
And that alone, it'll go into an approval queue, but that gets checked. I mean, you don't sit there for more than 10 minutes before it gets approved by someone who has a high reputation level. So
Yeah, actually, once they turned on anonymous edits for people, it's like every day. Can you show some of those anonymous edit stats?
yeah, if we just turn on the mic so anyone Stack Exchange is listening.
Yeah.
But
On? Or
No,
off?
no.
I was just gonna say,
We do.
so let's go. I'll see. I can show you how editing works on the site for statistics wise. There we go. So overall, I mean, we get about 250 edits a day, and of that, let's go with moving averages. It's easier. Oh, this doesn't. Yeah, it just shows it. So this is both our registered users who have lower rep and then anonymous users who aren't even logged into the site who are trying to help edit questions. So on average, we're seeing, 30 to 40 people that are just editing questions and having it pop into the approval queue. So the more people who are in there, even if you don't have to log in, you just go and edit stuff, and that really helps out the site as well. And there will be another session about
Experts.
how to become more of how to contribute to being an expert in the Ask Me site, how to become more of a power user, and how to use the site to your advantage for answering questions because you are all experts. And we need more experts to help us out with answering stuff.
More Charles Prophets. I just upvoted you today.
Thank you. You know what, but it's also what